So you're able to
Yes.
find a way to get those questions out, even on the speed dating side.
Yeah, because again, I'm trying to tell people it's a numbers game.
Right.
It's
Oh,
really
yeah. Break that down. It's a numbers game. Meaning,
yeah. People, what happens is they meet somebody and they think, oh, this could be the one. This is it. You know, and people need to realize lust really gets in the
Does
way.
lust happen to both men and women?
Of course it does.
Come on, really?
Hello.
Not just guys?
Not just guys. It happens to girls.
Or I
Of
should
course,
have
to
said, not just
hormones.
women? Yeah, right.
You know, and women, we are a little bit more, we have an opportunity for, you know, not only physically to look at a guy, but I think also inside if he's attractive, inside if he's funny, dry sense of humor,
Like that,
maybe a good dancer,
Ooh, wow. Where
maybe a
could we
John
find
Travolta,
guys
you know,
like that?
yeah,
I'm not
look-alike
sure
kind of a guy.
where they are. They're probably out there. Donald, help out now. Come on. Yeah, they're probably out
So, you
there.
know, not only just the exterior, but the interior too. And then all of a sudden, you know, your hormones kind of take over and you kind of forget about, you know, thinking about those specific questions. So that's what happens when you go, oh no, this is the one. I'm not going to date anybody else because I don't want to date anybody else. I'm just really happy with that person. What happens then, 3-6 months down the road, God forbid, oh no, this person has a rap sheet, or, you know, they're a psycho, like men like to say fatal attraction.
Ooh, yeah.
And you've missed all these other wonderful opportunities. So it's good to remember that it's a numbers game, that you want to see a lot of different people. You want to, you know, you definitely, so if something doesn't work out with one person, you have that other opportunity to go out again with that other man or woman again.
Sure, sure. Those are great points, Candace. It's kind of exciting to think about. Of course, something as difficult as actually putting together a book, getting pen to paper, and really following it through. That was a pretty big deal.
Especially for me, because I have the world's worst ADD in the world.
Oh, really?
So I'd like to say that yes,
Right.
I'm medicated, yeah. Don't eat a lot of coffee in my diet. Basically, when I came up with this book, I definitely had the most wonderful help of an amazing editor. There was just no way. I basically just spurted out everything. I got my friends together just to kind of have little dating singles parties.
Sure.
Wrote down a lot of different ideas, my experiences, and then I got a wonderful editor and a graphic designer and a photographer to kind of help me piece it together.
Yeah.
And originally, you know, I didn't come out with a book to be known so much as a writer. I really used the book as a vehicle to open doors as a dating relationship expert. So I could lecture and do radio and television, and that's what my hopes and dreams are, to be a host for that.
And that's really what it's all about.
It's really what it's all about. And it's just a talent that's just sort of just fallen into my lap over the past several years. It wasn't something I dreamed about as a little girl to do. It just sort of happened.
Are there other, when we think about it, are there some big names in relating and dating and dating
absolutely,
and relationship coach arena? Some of the names we may have heard of, is that as simple as
Dr. Phil is a huge one, obviously. He's got a wonderful new book that's out now. Many of them obviously have just spurred off from the Oprah Winfrey Show. She is definitely the person to get on her show first and then automatically, boom, it's like wildfire. It happened for you.
Really? Wow.
Greg Bernhardt, he is formerly a Sex and the City writer. He wrote a book called, and I don't know if you've heard of this, He's Just Not That Into You. And it was for women. And basically the book is about, if he doesn't call you, he's just not that into you. If he doesn't compliment you, he's just not that into you. If he answers the cell phone during the first date, he's just not that into you. And it just became like a catchy little phrase. Well, now he's got his own show called The Greg Show, and he really talks about not only just dating, but about marriage and relationships. What makes me different than these other people, not that they're not wonderful and fabulous, is that I am still single. They're married and have been married for umpteen years. Some people prefer to come to me because I am still in the market.
Sure.
I do understand what it's about. And yes, then I do go out. I do sometimes use data as research. Of course, people's names are... People's names are... No,
what a nightmare.
It's not just me. They'll open up, not just about the date that's happening. They'll open up about, you know, a past date that they've had. Well, of course I'm going to write about it. Of course I change people's names and locations and things of that sort, but if it will help other people, of course I'll write about it.
And so, for instance, you'd often answer these questions on dates as well as, I mean, do you make an effort to you don't get these things out like in public. You wouldn't go on talk about religion deal breakers or location. I mean, is that's something you would do on your own in a dating? Right, sure.
Of course. I wrote the book. I have to follow my own advice.
That's right, exactly. Yes, you have to follow that closely. You can't get all these questions out today is what I was thinking about.
Right. But I will tell you as also, too, my friends affectionately know this, too. It's hard sometimes. I'm human like everybody else.
Yeah.
I see a cute boy, and I want to break my own rules, and I have to go, no, I can't. I wrote the book. I have to follow my own advice. Darn. So, but I'm human like everybody else. I've made terrible mistakes, and I continue to make mistakes in the dating world, but that's what it's all about. It's about getting up, brushing yourself off, and knowing that, each person that you meet, each date that you go on is a good reason. You're getting yourself ready for that right person.
How do I go about, because oftentimes it is so difficult for folks who are getting out of the dating scene to desensitize themselves from being beaten up or being worried about getting rejection, that harsh aspect of getting rejections. How do you encourage folks, whether male or female, to kind of take it easy, or do you?
Absolutely. You've ever heard the saying before, it's not personal, it's just business?
I have.
Yes, a lot of people have. I like to say it's not personal to you, it's the business of the universe to get you ready for that right person. So if that person doesn't call back, that person does not accept a date from you, you never hear from that person again. If they say something mean to you, guess what? It's nothing about you. Too many people go, oh, what did I do wrong?
Right.
Or they become too desperate. Well, maybe I can make up, or I can get them to like me more. Maybe I'll call them more, or give them gifts. And it's just you're wasting your time and that person's time. Understand, it has nothing to do with you. There's a very good reason why you're not meant to be with that person. That's why, again, it's a numbers game. You brush yourself off and you call up that next person and you go out. That's the advice that I give. And I think what happens is a person will go on a bad date and it trips them up. Then inside, they lose their confidence. And what I like to tell people, what you're feeling inside is exactly the type of person that you're going to attract. So if you're nervous and you're not confident, then you're not going to be attracting the right people. You're not going to be attracting people at all. Because confidence is everything. Now, there's a big difference between confidence and being a jerk or cocky or just not being a nice person. But there is something so sexy and attractive about somebody who's just happy in their own skin and doesn't really care what other people think about them to a certain degree.
And that's important both for women as well as men, or for men as well as women.
And by that, I mean also for women have this myth and idea in their heads that they cannot ask a man out.
Ooh,
that they can't.
They can?
Of course they can.
I gotta ask.
What year are we in? This is year 2007, right?
I think.
Yes. So there's absolutely nothing wrong for a confident woman and a lovely, nice woman who has class to walk right up to a man and say, I had a wonderful time. I would love to ask you out for a cup of coffee or a glass of wine sometime.
Right.
Here's my card. What's wrong with that? Wouldn't you find that attractive?
Yeah, of course I would. Absolutely. My mother might not, but I would.
Well, then, if your mother might have a problem with that, and a lot of women do have a problem directly asking a man out, then you can also say, you can do something like this. Greg, I heard that you like sailing. You know what? I would love to go out with you sailing sometime if you ever ask me. Or maybe if you ask me, I might like to try sailing too. Hint, something of that sort.
Sure.
Because men are just as terrified, and please, come in and tell me if I'm wrong.
Oh.
You guys are just as terrified as we are of getting turned down.
Of course, guys are terrified.
And no offense, but sometimes you guys really miss the signals that we give, the twirling of the...
What are some...
Okay, signals are...
We just got a couple of minutes in part one. So,
well, some of the signals are hair, laughing, looking you in the... Like, we're just staring.
Eye contact means please ask me out.
But the stare is like, ding, ding, ding.
Well, guys are thinking the wrong things there. They're thinking, let's get a room. I mean, they're thinking terrible things at that. So.
Well, we don't want to say that.
That's right, 6 months.
Yeah, but I don't think those are overtly. I mean, obviously there's a difference between doing the hair and staring at a guy to overtly hanging on a guy and overtly giving a guy your room key.
Oh, yeah.
That is what it is what it is.
I've got a pocket. Yeah.
Mr. John
Johnny
Travolta.
Rockets. Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
We've just got a
we?
minute, Candace. We've got, of course, the exciting thing is you'll be back with us tomorrow, Thursday, the first day of March, to talk about Be a Dating Dahling and some of these amazing magazines you've been highlighted in recently. But for a viewer who's been with us the last 25 minutes and wanted to learn more about you and may not be able to be with us tomorrow, what's a good place to learn more about Candace McKenzie?
Go to my website, www.thedatingdahling, which is DAHLING.com. Pretty much has all the information, my lecture dates, appearance dates. If you're interested in the book, Be a Dating Dahling, you can go to Amazon.com. Most people feel most comfortable because they've shopped there before.
Sure.
It gives a free preview of the book. Authorhouse.com. Also, I have a MySpace account. It's just for advertising of the book.
Good.
Mind you. Just
yeah.
make that very specific.
We're going to go there.
Yeah, MySpace.com/The Dating Dahling.
Great. And that's a trademarked phrase there.
It's
the Dating
trademarked.
Dahling.
Yes.
And of course, folks, I heard you talking earlier about magical celebrations. And
Yes.
you mentioned magical celebrations.
Go to magicalcelebrations with an S.com. Magicalcelebrations.com.
Right.
Yes.
I love it. Candace, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Very definitely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People. Coming up next with Candace McKenzie. She said she got degrees in If You're a Loser, Come Date Me Now. But he's perfect on paper. Why can't this work? Those are great degrees. You wonder how someone becomes a dating or relationship expert, a coach, someone actually goes out on the circuit to make a difference. Folks need these answers. They need to find a way to get out there, get back in the scene if they've been out of a relationship for a long time but are having trouble getting back out in the dating world. It's a big deal. They need to be able to turn to somebody. We've got the one. You can learn more by coming back tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., part 2 of Candace McKenzie, The Dating Dahling.